So there's this one comic that I've really enjoyed reading since it started. It's funny, has great action, and has some really wholesome moments in it as well. The comic I am talking about is Mafia Nanny. This series is great for a lot of reasons, and I want to talk about as many as I can in this video. So let's jump right into talking about the greatness of Mafia Nanny. So because the story takes place in a mafia family, family is obviously important to the story being told. We get to see different perspectives on what family means to certain people. For the main characters, we especially get different perspectives. Gabriel doesn't have a great relationship with family outside of his son. He is trying his hardest to keep his son out of the mobster life because he understands what it entails. Mikey, Gabriel's son, really wants to be a mobster because he doesn't really understand what it means to be one. He just looks up to his father so much and wants to be just like him. They have a wonderful relationship. Gabriel tries to be the best father he can because he never got that for himself. Davina also has an interesting perspective on family. Davina was orphaned from a young age. She was taken in by a nice lady who taught her how to be some super nanny. Davina looked up to and loved her parents, but we are slowly getting some reveals about her family that changes how we look at them. The woman that took her in is a mother-like figure to Davina and is someone Davina gives her utmost respect to, which just changes the dynamic a little bit, but still makes it interesting. Davina's whole purpose for taking on her current job has been revenge. She wants to get revenge on the people who killed her family, and that is the Angelini family. Now, normally I would say that revenge is never the answer, but in this case, this family needs to go. Not only for revenge, but so that Mikey can also have a relatively normal life without having to be burdened with taking over some massive crime family. Davina has even gotten Gabriel on her side for the most part since he also hates his family and for very good reason. This revenge plan has been in the making for a while, and with each and every chapter passing, you start to root for the downfall of the Angelinis more and more because the head of the family is one of the worst people you have around. No one has ever kept him in check because he was destined to lead this family, so no one would ever cross him, and that has turned him into an arrogant asshole who needs to be knocked down a peg or five. So let's let the revenge happen because fuck him. One of my favorite things about this story is that it really goes out of its way to tell you that the mob isn't some cool thing to be a part of. Most of these people are evil people who do terrible things, and the ones that aren't evil are getting taken advantage of because they were in bad situations before joining the family. The heads of these families are not people who should be looked up to. They are people who need to be stopped because they will continue to do whatever the hell they want to and get away with it if you don't stop them. And sometimes the best way to stop these families is by force because the police aren't going to do anything 90% of the time since they have been bought off. Getting to see the internal struggles of this family is also really cool and shows us that no matter how powerful you get, there's always someone there who will be able to take you down even if that person is someone on the inside. This webtoon gives us a different perspective on the mob that we see most of the time, and it's what makes this story really cool. Despite this comic being about the mafia, we actually get to see some of the characters go out of their way to protect their loved ones. Now, that wouldn't be surprising except for the fact of where some of these characters come from. It's a miracle that these characters turned out to be decent human beings who actually care about others enough to want to protect them is cool. It gets to the point with Davina where protecting Mikey is no longer just her job, she actually wants to do it because she cares about him. Seeing this whole thing play out is awesome to see. Protecting those you care about, especially those who are vulnerable, is what I want to see from lovable characters, and that is exactly what we get. This webtoon is extremely wholesome. We really get to see some fun moments in this story because of how wholesome it is. We see how a family is forming with the main characters and how everyone cares about each other in a certain way. There's also a really good romance forming right now between Davina and Gabriel. We are seeing them slowly grow closer and closer together, and we are also seeing how this is forcing them to change plans constantly. Seeing how the series can balance being really wholesome and cute but also having some badass and darker moments in it is awesome, and really makes the story work so much better than it would have otherwise. There are some really badass fights in Mafia Nanny. Every one of the adult characters is capable of doing some really cool stuff. Davina doesn't let anybody get close to Mikey. She will literally sacrifice herself before she lets anyone touch Mikey. But honestly, in her case, that mindset isn't so bad because she can defend herself pretty damn well. The fights in this comic are drawn extremely well and make for some really great moments. If you like a story with a lot of action, then this story is right up your alley and it's the perfect thing that you need to read. The characters in Mafia Nanny are so good. I've brought up the main characters quite a bit throughout this video already, and that's just because all of them are great characters that really steal the show and make it pretty much impossible to not talk about them multiple times throughout the discussion of this story. That's why I'm just going to kind of skip over talking about them right now since it's not really necessary to do so. They are great characters, and reading this comic will tell you that immediately. But the side characters are also great. There are so many of them that I love and I think are super cool. It's hard to not like pretty much every character in this series that isn't an antagonist. But even then, they are starting to turn a former antagonist into a really likable character as well, which is super cool. That just gives you another character that you want to see succeed. The cast of characters is surprisingly big, but all of them have very unique personalities that make them not feel boring and not needed. Instead, all of the characters are extremely fun. So yeah, the characters are by far the best part of this comic, and it's not even close. Mafia Nanny is a really fun story with fun and wacky characters that also knows when to get serious and when not to. This webtoon is very unique and overall just a really fun series to read through and experience. Okay, that was the video. If you liked it, maybe think about dropping a like and subscribing as well. It helps out a ton, and if you do decide to join the community, then I guess I'll see you next week with another video. Bye!